say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. The mission of the Cass R9 School District is to achieve excellence in education. That is why we are here at every board meeting. Okay, preview and approval of agenda. We need a motion to approve the agenda.
Make the motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
Have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
That's you.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, perfect. Moving on to the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Moving on down to audience delegations. Have we got anyone that signed up?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Moving on to MSBA delegate report.
Well, being early in the year, there's not a lot of information to report. However, I did find on the Facebook page for MSBA, they have a video every month that you can actually play, and that's your board report. So I just thought that was kind of interesting because that's what I watched, and that's where I got some of the information this time. So first of all, of course, MSBA is advertising the fact that our annual conference is coming up September 27 to 30. For those of us that are going, over 100 breakout sessions, trade show, and they've got a couple of nationally recognized speakers. So I know it's very valuable. I'm looking forward to the information I can learn from that as well. Friday of that conference is the delegate assembly, and I think I'm the delegate. Is that right?
I think you are.
Is that why I'm giving this report?
Yes.
Okay, so
I'm the assistant or whatever it is.
oh, if I don't go, then you'll go.
Alternate. Yes. So I know
Okay,
you're
okay.
going.
Making sure you're going to be sitting in that chair.
She said that real quick, too. You are.
So at the delegate assembly, then we will consider approval of MSBA's advocacy positions document. So basically, this is where they get the information from the board members and the different LEAs in the state. And so that's the document that will form the basis of the MSBA's lobbying for this year. So I think that's kind of interesting, and it just shows that our system has a good support and that they really do listen to the input from the schools in our state. The only other thing that I wanted to mention too, it's just something I think will be coming up, probably maybe Dan probably could talk about it if we need to, but is that new virtual course law. I found that kind of intriguing in terms of the requirements for schools. I did read that, and I won't go into all of it now, but I know that's something we're going to be seeing and discussing and probably doing some research on. DESE is actually, for the first semester, using their rules for virtual courses that they have had in place as they start to put things in place. So it may change some things a little bit.
But nothing probably till after first semester.
So that's it.
Very good. Moving on to recognition.
Yes, I'd like to ask Wanda Davis to come up and on behalf of Harrisonville Schools and Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, Durham, received the Exemplary School Bus Maintenance Award, serving Harrisonville Schools for its exemplary school bus maintenance program as evidenced by compliance with at least 90% for 1 year passage of Missouri school bus regulations and safety standards during the spring 2018 school bus inspection conducted by the Missouri State Highway Patrol. So Durham Services has done a great job with our buses. I know we reported that out at that time, but here's the figure of recognition.
Yes, and not upside down. My kid did that.
You got a 30 plus on the CT.
Thank you, Wanda. All right, we will move on to the 2018-19 levy rates. We need a motion.
I move to approve the levy for the 2018-19 fiscal year as follows. Incidental and General Fund, 4.0435. Teachers and Special Revenue Fund, 0. Debt Service Fund, 1.0337. Capital Projects Fund, 0. For a total tax levy of 5.0772.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. We'll move on to the assessment and evaluation of district programs.
As far as the financial report, it is the first month of the year and nothing very much notable other than our balances for this month of July is $10.1 million. Any questions?
Food service program evaluation.
Yes, I will talk. I know Sherry Richardson's here. She was wanting to do a lot of talking, but I said I would try to keep it down for her. We are going to pull up some stuff on the website and just kind of show you a little bit of some of the things on there as we talk the program review and the program evaluation. I'll just highlight a few things. One, Sherry does a great job as the director of our food service program. We obviously need to always look for growth and ways to improve, but we've also had a few of those things also. So a couple key things. As you look at number 3, we are operating in the black, barely, but we're operating in the black. We do want to, going back up, we want to offer good, healthy meals for our students, and we do a good job with that. The chart on 4 also just kind of shows you that though our enrollment is declining a bit, we're kind of level with our free and reduced lunch primarily. So kind of stuck at that 58% right there at the full, with the 33% or 33% free and 9% reduced. So a couple of things as far as facilities. We have improved, I won't read that to you, but just highlight a few things. We put new roofs on the outdoor freezers this summer. That was a capital project, just some areas where they were leaking a little bit. We've had in the last couple of years the donations from the foundation for the garden bars. That was the word. The salad bar. Garden bars. And then food service has also purchased one also there. So all of our buildings have the garden bars. We've had new refrigerators, new stoves. We're putting in a new heater on the water heater, kind of boosts the heat in one of our buildings. So we're staying pretty up to date and kind of in that rotation of some of those facility things that we need. Middle school is still a concern, just the size of the kitchen. With preparing both the food for the middle school and the food at ECC. Also the food at ECC, Sherry talked to me this year, she was looking at some ways, making sure that the quality of food that we're providing to our kindergartners is adequate. We have a cooker there that cooks a lot of that food, but then we didn't have a warmer to keep it once it was cooked. That cooker, as you keep rotating, you have to take stuff out. So we're going to look at purchasing a warmer at ECC so we can keep that food warm as we're cooking some of that food that's over there, some of the pre-cooked things that are being heated up. So, that's kind of long-term facilities that we're going to need to look at as that middle school space. They serve out of that if you've ever been in there. We toured the new cafeteria floor, but they go into the kitchen to actually get their food and come out. So that shrinks up some of that space. So we'll just continue to think outside the box of some things there. But overall, a very good program for us hosting our own. That is very unique, I think, now for school districts that they're not contracting out food service. So that says a lot for us as a school district and Sherry as a director of running that program and where we're at. So I'll stop and maybe we can pull up the website. And Sherry, do you want to highlight? There's some great things on this website. I know you've seen it probably a couple years ago when it kind of really got going, but I'll turn it over and let you do your song and dance.
Yes, we have some new principals, new board members, so we just wanted to highlight some of the things on the school food service webpage, which you can access through the school's homepage, there's a little icon that says lunch menus. Just click on that and you'll go to this page. The most important thing right now is the meal applications right there on the left. We're getting lots and lots of those in. Very, very important that those come in right now. Over on the far right-hand side is Parent Portal, which will take parents into SIS so they can put money on their students' lunch accounts. We go to prepayment options. We're going to skip menus and go to prepayment options.
It's that time of night where you're kicked out of the.
Yeah, I get kicked out every night about this time.
Sherry, while we're waiting, about how many meals do you do a day? For students,
Teachers,
teachers,
bombard
or?
me with questions today.
I was just curious.
Like 1,800, I
Yeah.
think, somewhere around there. Things seem slow right now, but I remember that I say that at the beginning of school every year. Kids get new lunch boxes and mom's all up with, oh
we
yeah,
bring
we'll
in
pack
lunches,
lunches.
yeah.
And then after a couple of weeks, it's like, oh, here's the dollar or whatever. So I have to remind myself that every year that, my managers go, oh, our accounts are down, our accounts are down. But we're up in breakfast at ECC because we started offering them 2 choices every day. So that's really going well. I'm happy about that. Okay, prepayment options again, which is questions and answers and how to put money on your students' accounts. And then the next tab is nutrition and fitness. And there's a whole lot of information on nutrition, sports nutrition, fitness. You would never get through all this information. There's so much information on the page. Go ahead and click something.
Click something
Yeah, there's video series that kids can watch, and like I said, just a whole bunch of information on nutrition. And then on the next tab is nutrition education, and there's information for teachers, for parents at home, fun for students. There's games and crossword puzzles and videos to watch, and there's all kinds of things, class projects for different grades that it's geared to. Yeah. And then our contact information is right there. I'm the apple, and my secretary's a watermelon. And so all the managers are there, so people can contact them with any questions.
Nice.
And then we have our wellness policy on the end, and that, of course, takes you to our wellness policy and talks about why we have a wellness policy. And, okay, now we're going to go to the fun stuff, menus, my favorite part. First, I'm going to show you our lunch prices and our breakfast prices. And then we scroll on down. Over to the right-hand side, there's the parent newsletter. And there's one for each month, or that either one of those, feel free to click. And there's just more information for parents. And like I said, we change that every month, so there's new information. And look at that. And go to the menu, the high school menu. Just like that. And we'll just show today's menu at high school. Right there. If you put your mouse over the item, just hover over the item, a window will come up and it'll show you that what we're having is, we had a barbecue pulled pork sandwich today, and go down one. Oh, well, then our other option was, that's okay. Baked beans went with that, and corn, and it tells you all the nutritional information. And
Served in a nice bowl.
all the way down, chicken sandwiches, tater tots, fruit, red pepper hummus. Kids love that.
Do they really?
They really do.
Really?
Really good. Nacho and burrito bar was today. Nacho bar is our biggest day all week. I love going over there on Nacho Day and helping. My managers don't like it. I love it. It's a lot of fun. And then our salad bar. So that's all the options that kids have. And then there's a picture of a fruit up on the left-hand corner there, and I run out of room, we have so many choices. It says that with every meal, students have a variety of fruit to pick from also. And we usually have a dried fruit, a fresh fruit, a couple of fresh fruits to choose from, and then like a canned fruit of pineapple or peaches or pears. And there you go. Any questions over anything?
I just want to back up to our goal as stated is to operate the food service program in an efficient manner to provide meals to all students each day in accordance with the federal and state child nutrition program regulations and guidelines. And I think this is a good example of showing that we are doing that. I think the website is a very, very unutilized resource in our community and for parents. As a parent, it's unutilized, me personally, and as an educator. So I think we need to continually talk and share what is available on there, because a lot of work goes into that, but a lot of information is there that I think will be very beneficial to teachers and just and students. So
That might be a good Rotary or Kiwanis presentation. You know,
I'm sure Sherry would love to come talk
Besides
to all the
public speaking are her two favorite things. Okay, so.
But it is there's some great things happening in our food service program. So.
Jason, I have a question. It says the middle school kitchen no longer meets the needs of the new lunch requirements with all the prep work needed. What does that mean exactly to us?
Can you
Well,
explain
we are
that?
meeting the requirements, it's just very difficult. We don't have one prep table in the entire kitchen, and so we're doing more prep as far as fresh fruits, cutting fruits up and portioning them up in portion cups. And we just lacking room. We have carts in the middle of the room and any spare corner that we can get, trying to put things on pans.
Is that because we've grown? We have more lunches that we're providing, or what?
I was told from the moment, of course, I'm starting my 26th year. So, and Martha, the manager at middle school, has been here since Harrisonville was founded on the map. She's just been here forever. She said it was too small
When they built it.
and they've really done a great job this year. The lunches have been spread out, so it's like an extra hour or more. And we were scared, of course, because that increases our labor without any more revenue coming in. But it's making everybody's life so much easier. It's weighed out the cons of it. So my staff's real happy. It's a quieter place. It's a more pleasant place. I think the kids think that's all around a better place.
So is the biggest problem, is it physical space or is it equipment or a combination?
There's no physical space. And I mean, we're good on equipment, but if we needed a piece of equipment, there wouldn't be any place
No place to
for
put
it to
it.
go. We've got rid of equipment. We had a big industrial size reach-in freezer, and we got a new walk-in freezer a few years ago. And so when that tall one broke, I'm like, let's just get rid of it. We're not going to replace it. We can put a table there. Just think of that. We can put a table or a cart, and we can actually work there. So we have a few extra steps to take to get to the freezer, but we needed that space.
Do you have 2 serving lines for kids coming through there or 1?
2.
So if you picture the middle school, they go through that door, and then there's 2 serving lines for kids that take their food. The rest is the prep area or lack of prep area, stoves and all that. So if somehow we in the future could ever move that out where they don't have to go through there, that would help that situation a lot. We've looked at knocking down that wall before and putting in, like they have at the high school, that gate or cage that comes down, but just haven't financially pulled the trigger on that one yet.
So the health department and their inspections have no problem with you not having any space.
We pass all of our health inspections. Did we send copies of the health inspections in this? I thought we did. Maybe not. I can get you health inspections if you want to look at them. They are posted. We get inspected twice a year, and the current inspection legally has to be posted for everybody to see. So they're right on the wall as you're coming into each kitchen. But they're not looking at.
Gonna see if you're clean or not.
Yeah.
I would love to.
I was just curious about it, if we're prepping somewhere and it's a prep table, and if there are a mixture of, things that can't be cross-contaminated.
They do a really good job of knowing what they're supposed to do and not supposed to do.
I would love to be able to utilize this website a little bit more. When I sat on the site council for ECC, there's a lot of young parents that, we take for granted that we understand what the food groups are and how you're supposed to prep a meal. There's a lot of young parents that was never taught to them. And there's some that would probably want to teach that to their kids. It's something so easy, but there's not always the knowledge. And to utilize that, that has all the tools that they would need.
There's one page on, I think, the nutrition tab I was looking closely at today that goes into the components of a meal. And it's
I've seen it on there before.
There's calculators on there too, where you can put in the food and it'll tell you exactly
so many things I could ask. But
nutritional
there's
values
one
and
area that
stuff.
talks about the 5 food groups that we utilize and transferring that home and making sure you're getting protein and fruit and vegetables and whole grains. They really push whole grains in here too. So, yeah, that would be great. I'd love to see that website for you guys.
Yeah.
Is
Because
there
it's really good.
a question that was asked of me? I actually directed them to the office. Was it last year, 2 years ago, when the district was on the news about our kids owing the lunch money, and so anyway, the lady that asked me was if she wanted to donate $500 to go to the school lunch program and pay for the kid, to kind of spread that across the kids that are behind. And, I really didn't know how to answer it other than we can call the office. There's got to be a way we can apply something to that, I would think, to those kids that are behind. But also, I told her I really, I don't know the list of those kids. I can't give you a name of list to apply it to. But if somebody were to do that, is that a option?
Yes, we've had
We've
generous
had-
donations in the past, pay off some of
Yeah.
those. And we had some senior families last year who, their oldest had like $5 left or whatever. And they're like, just go ahead and donate that to
Right.
somebody who needs it. And then we would work with Jennifer Beavers, the school social worker of
Okay.
mine, there might be kids who owe, but we want to find the ones who need it the most
Right.
to get paid off.
And then her question was, she didn't see a way to donate on our site, and so
We would need a check sent, paid to food service, and it could be sent to my office or brought in or given to Kathy here.
okay.
I love it just to get Kathy. So all that cash handling procedures that we talked about, just drop off to Kathy and she can get it into our account, and then I can work with Jennifer.
Is that something that we could put a note on there that said, if you're interested in, contact? And that way if somebody was questioning it, or if they saw that, they might think, oh, I hadn't thought about that.
Not to take us down a rabbit hole here, but I think we'd want to have some conversations about how we do that before we do it, because I know when my kids were in school, there were a lot of times we'd get behind, and it wasn't it wasn't need-based, it was Chris being lazy or forgetful-based. And we don't want a donation to go to somebody like me who just didn't do what he needed to do.
In general, probably,
So
yeah.
we'd probably need to set some criteria.
But if we just said, if you're interested in, contact, then that, we wouldn't be giving them too much information on there. I don't know, it's just.
True. Yeah.
I don't know.
For food service, just another example of what we're producing and the quality. We also have the blue light special that Bright Futures helped sponsor for our law enforcement. And last Friday, we actually had 2 in at HES. And I just overheard them say, wow, this is a lot better than going to fast food. and it was the pizza, and they were like, "What kind of pizza is this? This is really good." And I went and asked because they were like, "This is really good." So,
Like special pizza days.
so again,
Sausage and gravy pizza. So
just goes to the goal of us providing that high quality, nutritious meal, and I think she does a great job. So.
I have one more question. One of the things, a couple years ago, we were talking about the lunches and those type of things that were going on at that time. At that time, we had identified that there were a lot of people that qualified for free and reduced but weren't taking advantage or doing the paperwork. So do you feel like that more of the parents that are qualify are taking advantage of it? Are we getting that word out?
I think we did a great job last year, Jill. And Jennifer helped. We sent a lot more notices home, email, and phone messages. If you were on the program last year, you roll over to carry those benefits over for the first 30 days. So we spent a long time right before those 30 days are up trying to contact those parents, getting them back on the programs, just please fill out the paperwork. And we had principals take applications and give them to the students, put them in the backpacks. Please have the parents fill this out. And Jason started putting applications at the library for people to pick up, so that was a great idea. I think we are getting better. There's still some people who don't. Well, I've always got, and I have to remind them that you still need to do that
Each year, right?
application out every year. So
Good.
I appreciate on the website that we can go out on Parent Portal and we can see what our children are buying. So when you get that phone call that says you're negative, but I just put money in, yeah, that really has been really helpful to make sure my kids eating what he's
Oh, yeah.
And we've had some parents after looking at that call and ask, is there any way I can block them from buying all the cars? Like, yes, you can.
Can you?
Yes, you can.
I wish
You can't even buy a milk tin, so we tell them that if you want them to have extra milk, that's washed too.
I'm not going to do that. He's hungry, but I thought one year he was maybe buying lunch for someone else because he was going through it so quickly, and I'm still not convinced that he wasn't helping someone with lunch. But why are you eating 3 sandwiches, Carson? Because I'm hungry. All right.
You've clearly never been a teenage boy.
Clearly I have not.
Say
Well, and then I
three.
didn't know he stockpiled before football.
Yeah.
So. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we will now go over the comprehensive school improvement plan.
So I wanted to put the comprehensive school improvement plan in the board packet. So just to remind you of where we're at, our progress as we look to see if we've completed things that we have left out that we need to include. So part of that process is a needs assessment. I've talked about that a little bit, and we met with the staff, kind of initiated that process. We plan to go back to the staff and just verify those needs. Community is the next step in that process of strategic planning. But we want to review also where we were and make sure we're still addressing the fact that this is the comprehensive school improvement plan that we are currently using, that is currently adopted, and where we're at. So if you go to page 9, you'll see the goals, which the first goal is dealing with curriculum. You'll see that what I like about the document is that it talks about who's responsible, when it's supposed to be accomplished, and so we can get a good idea of where we're at and where we're going. So I know we talked about this a little bit at the planning meeting, so some of this is rehashing what we've already talked about. But Dan, do you want to talk about the curriculum piece just a little bit?
As you go through there and you read on the top, that's what the goal will look like. And if you pick out elements of there, the actual action steps, like finalize social studies essential standards, that's supposed to be 17-18. That has not been accomplished because it's field tested this year as a test by the state. So we don't want to finalize the standards with a new test coming out. We want to see what the new test looks like, and then Jesse will hopefully put out standards that match that. Begin implementation, project lead the way K5, that's underway. K6 using Master Connect, report student progress on essential standards. Finalize CCC essential standards. There we were looking at the Nicole 2s and, Greta, yep, and how they integrate that curriculum. I talked to both of them. They felt fairly confident where they were with that and what they were doing in there. Finalize foreign language essential standards. We have not done that. Mr. Wiegers and I talked, and he really wanted to concentrate last year, his first year, on the EOC tested classes, the cores. But that will be moved to a later date. Using 9th through 12th grade, using USA Test Prep, that's underway and ongoing. So a lot of these have been accomplished, or they're in some form of it.
So Susan just asked a good question. We need to update these, so that's part of this process as we go through this, just to update you all where we are at. So,
Maybe add a box,
Right.
completed or not, or status box type thing.
If you go down to page 12, you can go goal 3, the effective ongoing professional development, increased collaboration time. Obviously, that's been completed. So you can go through, just kind of see where we're at. And but one of the things that is missing that I'd like to include, and obviously in discussing the superintendent goals for this year earlier, we need to talk about facilities. So that's an important part of a comprehensive school improvement plan is talking about facilities. So we have Sherry talking about the kitchen. That's something we need to communicate and include in part of an overall plan of the next 5 years, and possibly, that's something we can evaluate and look at. So just some pieces missing that we definitely need to look at, and because a lot of this is completed, and so it's a living document. We need to make sure that we're monitoring the progress and adding and removing things as needed. So, any questions about the CSIP?
So typically, is the CSIP written for 5 years? Is it
Typically, right.
So
Yeah.
since you're coming in year 2 of one that was created prior to you, is that something you can do in terms of updating, adjusting? Do you have to wait? Do you have to start from scratch? Or
Well, we kind of feel like we are a little bit, because we're looking at the input that we collect from the faculty, and we're going to talk to the community as part of that community engagement plan, and so that'll kind of give us the foundation for where we want to go from there. And so I think in the spring that's what we'll look at doing.
So is it considered an amendment to the CSIP when you make additions?
Well, I would say that we want to include the pieces that aren't done that we feel are important still, but it's going to look a lot different, I think. So because there's a lot of it's completed. So quite honestly, so.
And then talking about revisions, if you go down to page 16 and the safety feature, the district will implement the Crisis Go program, and obviously we're not moving forward with that. So some of those things may need to be tweaked.
Right. Absolutely.
Any other discussion? All right. Substitute report for August. We need a motion.
I move to approve the August 2018 substitute report as presented.
Need a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
All right, any opposed? All right, very good. We will move on now to business services. Sole source bid for S650 T4 Bobcat skid steer loader.
Yes.
Nailed it. We need a motion.
Move that we approve the purchase of the S650 T4 Bobcat skid steer loader in the amount of $43,207.22 from Clark Equipment Company, DBA Bobcat Company.
Second.
Discussion?
Can I ask what classes will be using this besides construction?
It will be 4 classes. It will be
2 ag classes, construction, automotive, and actually we're trying to get the certification for welders too, so possibly 5 classes. And it doesn't cost the district.
I did see that part. That's a good part. I was just curious where they're going to be digging with the backhoe attachment.
Because we do a lot of things in construction and ag, you'll see them digging pits and pouring cement and things like that.
Out there in the back? I mean, where do they do that?
In the north lot.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah.
It's like it's not going to be out and about. You're not going to be hauling it places, are
We
you?
do not want to haul it anywhere.
Great. Great.
Any other discussion? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Advertising agreement for scoreboards. We need a motion.
Make the motion that we approve the advertising agreement between the school district and Community Bank for advertising on the scoreboards as presented.
Second.
Any discussion?
Is that the number of agreements we have now? Is that our goal in terms of our yearly amount?
We can always have more.
Do we have a goal?
We can always have more.
So we do have some spaces for more. So.
Sure.
And who would somebody contact if they wanted to advertise on there?
So Mr. Maxwell has been coordinating that, and I'm going to be a lot more involved in that process, just because he's right now he's at a point where he can't do that, and I kind of feel like that's should be more probably my role. So, but he already has made those contacts and done a fantastic job. So I'm going to leech onto him for as long as I can, and then. And Kathy, they can talk to Kathy too. But really, we want to make sure that we're consistent with those contracts. That we don't have one year, 1 5 year, one gets this, two gets. I mean, it's been a real hodgepodge. So we're trying to make sure that we're streamlining that process.
Is this 6-year contract, is that a new term for 6 years?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Kind of you guys negotiated that 6-year for a 5-year.
Well, I would just like to say thank you to Community Bank for agreeing to advertise, and I'd like to say thank you to all the other advertisers that were in the consent agenda that are advertising on the scoreboard. I think that's a big boost from our community.
Agreed.
And I would just like to mention them by name because it was held in American Heritage and Sonic and Max Motors, and I just think it's a big deal, and I want to say thank you.
It is a big deal.
The other part of that, so they came to the bank to do the commercial. It was the kids doing that.
Yeah.
It wasn't, so they came, they did the interview, they did all the camera shots. I mean, they did a fantastic job. So that's something that I think people need to really be more aware of. When you sit in the stands, I mean, if you were at the football games last year, it didn't start out as smooth as they had wanted to, but by the end of the football season, you could tell that those kids were really used to the procedure and everything they had. So I think that's something we definitely need to let people, and we've done a good job communicating that it's all the kids, but that's really a big deal. That could define the careers that some of those kids go into because of the access to these things.
And Tina, in that too, we have to remember every year it's kind of a senior-laden class, and so we're starting over this year with kids that haven't been in that production class, so they will not look as polished as they do, like you said, moving forward. But yeah, they're awesome. I mean, those Shop with a Cop videos last year, those
Those are great.
We nominated those for an award. Jill and I did too. We didn't get it, but was it MSBA? Yeah, that somebody that didn't know what they were doing because they should have took those. Yeah,
They were great.
Kathy, do you have any numbers on how we're doing with making money on the advertising?
Last year, we might have been 5,000 to 7,000 over what we needed payment-wise. Now, that's just payment on the scoreboard. I don't know if you remember, it was projected that we could pay for the turf payment and the scoreboard payment. So I think this coming year, we will boost it up at least half of the additional payments. So.
Awesome. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Business Services, sole source bid. Oh, wait, no, we just did that. I'm going to go down a little bit more to Compass Health Agreement. How about that? We need a motion.
You want to abstain from
I
the
probably
last?
should, actually, you're right.
Let's go
True
back.
that. Thanks for
Let's
having
go
me
back.
Appreciate it.
Abstain on that one. Okay.
I'll make the motion that we approve the agreement and memorandum of understanding with Compass Health Pathways as presented.
We need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
I have a few questions. I understand that these students will be referred by counselors or different people that are familiar with the counseling that they will need. One of my questions is, since it is paid through a Medicaid program, correct?
Correct.
Will information need to be turned over to Medicaid concerning what students they're seeing, who they're seeing, what the diagnosis is, all that sort of thing?
The billing will be handled by Pathways. They'll bill to Medicaid.
Right.
In there, there's stipulations. We chose not to exchange information electronically with them because I talked to Mike Diggs and he didn't think we're quite ready for that, or we didn't want to do it that way. And so they agreed to that. So, I mean, the communication will be snail mail. I don't think, they have to follow the same laws we do about student information, so I don't think they'll be closing.
I was just curious how much information would be turned over.
Yeah. I think they'll follow the guidelines that they have to,
What about the students that don't qualify for Medicaid?
Yep. Then they can be seen at a Pathways, if they have private insurance, they can be seen at a Pathways clinic, and then they would bill their private insurance. That way they wouldn't be able to be seen at the school. Pathways, these people estimated that they told me 15% of the people in our district would have private insurance, is what they researched. I think it's higher than that personally, but, so that's what they think.
And those who don't have insurance would be self-pay, but they wouldn't be seen in the district.
If they were what, self-insurance?
Self-paid, no, self-pay.
Yeah, if they have any form of insurance, or then they wouldn't be able to be seen at school.
Or if they don't have insurance at all.
Well, then if they didn't have
If they don't
insurance,
qualify for Medicaid.
and if the counselors thought, the therapists thought they could qualify, they would work to qualify the family for Medicaid.
And this doesn't affect our other contracts that we have for behavioral services such as Scott Maid and...
Nope, it does not, because he's seen students that are on an IEP, and this is for non-IEP students.
So they be seen, it's my understanding, reading the contract, that they will be seen at the building that they're in.
At the schools, correct. There'll be, I believe Pathways is going to earmark 2 licensed therapists to be in our buildings. And so let's say, the SOS signs of suicide, we're going to start administering that to all 6th graders and 9th graders and new students to the district. If something were to come out of that, that could generate a referral to maybe meet with this person, but it will be at the school. Yes.
Where will they do that? I mean, what will they be like in the nurse's office? I mean, where are they going to see
Like
these?
at McEwen, I could see them being in the back, the conference room there. The high school has a conference room they could use, something that's fairly private. I could see it maybe at HCSE. I haven't gone through the whole buildings in my mind, but maybe using Miss Folke's room or office, or Brian Graver's office.
But all of this will be during school time.
Correct.
It won't be outside
No,
of school.
it's all during school time. What we're trying to do is bring another component of mental health, another layer to our students, so they don't have to leave during the day to go somewhere.
Did I read that correctly, that the parents would be contacted before talking to...
Correct. The school district, we will contact them. So let's say there was a referral at the high school, Mark or a counselor would call, or there's a form letter that we can use to say that your student's been referred to see a license-based therapist for, we'll say, substance abuse. Okay, and then the parents would have to consent to that before they'd be seen.
That's good to know.
Yep. And we will be doing the contacting, not the license-based therapist.
And there's no pressure for a referral. Since this is a free service, you don't have to have 5 referrals to...
No, because we control who they see. We being the school, and the school personnel would say, hey, this student, needs to be seen. is a candidate for you. But yeah, no, we wouldn't be pressured to do that.
Did we have any other agencies that requested to do the service, like per board policy?
Nope.
But we post it, I mean, is that what we do? We post it? And
They, no, to my knowledge, we don't have to. They came to us. They're the only ones in this area. There's 4 counties that are doing this service. I mean, it's not costing us anything, so.
Is this something that's pretty common that a lot of school districts are going to?
It's relatively new because April 1st, 2018, which would have been last April, is when they were allowed to do this mental health in schools by a state legislature, passed a law that changed it. I'm sorry, I don't know what the law is, but and so it's relatively new. I know Belton has 6 counselors in their school. Lexington has 3, I believe, in their school. So there's 4 counties, and it's not the big counties. They're going more to the like Cass and Lafayette and things like that, smaller counties.
Any other discussion?
I just have one more question.
Okay.
And I don't mean to.
You're all right.
So if somebody doesn't charge for their service, then we don't have, then our policy that says that we have to post it and other people can apply to offer that service doesn't.
There's no requirement for bids. Is that what you-
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't a bid process. They provide a service. They contacted us, said we're doing this in these 4 counties. To my knowledge, we don't have to do anything.
Because they're
further.
still getting paid. They're just not getting paid by the district, right? They're getting paid through Medicaid.
Correct. Yep.
Right. I just want to make sure that we're
And it
careful
wouldn't
that
matter
we're
who's
following
providing the
policy.
services,
Laws are aimed at
Medicaid's
our
going to pay
own
the same
fiscal
amount. So
management as opposed
they
to
determine how much they'll pay. They're not going to.
Okay.
fair
Okay.
competition to the community.
Does that leave us on the hook then for whatever Medicaid doesn't pay for?
No, because if they don't qualify for Medicaid or are not Medicaid eligible, then they will not be seen on school property. They would have to, meaning either what you call self-pay, I call private insurance. It's probably 2 different things there, but then they would go to a Pathways office, and then their insurance would kick in to pay for it.
Well,
But then, at that point, we wouldn't be involved anymore.
Self-pay, I refer to as people that don't have insurance, so they're paying by themselves.
As they go, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good questions.
Any other discussion?
Just to compliment, I like this. As we hear, we've become more and more evolved as a society and more aware of some of these issues that haven't been in the forefront of our consciousness for years. This is a good approach. We're staring at an ever-growing opioid crisis we're starting to hear about now. Well, this is a way of addressing some of that. So thank you for doing the work to make this happen.
Yep.
It's a good service to offer.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Did you abstain?
I don't need to abstain from that one. All right. If we don't have anything else, we need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Unless you all want to stay. All right, do we have a second? Okay. I'm not sure who, we had a couple seconds on that.
I heard Nancy, so
Okay, so we have a
her.
motion and a second. I believe we are adjourned.
I know that.